Rolling. I'm going to officially welcome everybody to our meeting today. If you have, just a reminder, if you have guests or you're a visiting Rotarian, please drop a note in the chat so that I make sure that I call on you. So Jessica will help me scan that. So let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and fingers crossed I remember the whole thing again. So Jessica. Perfect. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that, I would like to hand it over to Rick Galpo for words of inspiration and invocation.
Thank you so much. You know, being in the nonprofit sector, a lot of people say, oh, how can I help? And, you know, obviously, whether you're at Marion Polk Food Share, Boys and Girls Club, Liberty House, wherever it is, oftentimes the answer is money. Money helps. It makes us be able to do what we work. Sometimes when we're not being so audacious, we say, volunteer, come lend your time. But there is another way you can help, and it is to vote. And it is to vote with a specific frame of reference. And the frame of reference isn't, oh, how does this vote protect my interest? But how does this vote take care of the people who are hungry, take care of the people who are homeless? So I'm going to pray. Let us enter into a moment of prayer. And here's my prayer. I pray is that we go to the elections this year in this vote, in this moment that is caused with a lot of strife, that we set aside our interest and we ask, how will this vote affect those who are hungry? How will this vote affect those who are homeless? How will this vote affect the medically fragile? How will this vote affect the inequities of our communities? And vote in a way that actually takes care of those who are hungry and homeless and medically fragile, and have received inequities from time, been on the short end of inequities. Vote in a way that protects those people. Amen.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you, Rick. So I'd like to introduce next Brody Cavale. Apologize if I didn't pronounce that right. He is the assistant principal and athletic director at North Salem High School, to introduce our student of the month.
Thank you for having me, everybody. I appreciate spending a little bit of time with you. I wanted to introduce one of our seniors this year, Gabby Tata Rodriguez. She is a 3-sport athlete: volleyball, wrestling, and track. A nearly 3.9 GPA with a 3.95 weighted GPA. And I would tell you, she's just one of those kiddos who's kind of the glue of the school. She kind of holds things together for everybody. She's very consistent. We're going to miss her after this year, and I'm just hoping, and you guys all are well aware of what's going on with the schools, we're just hoping that we can give a semblance of normalcy to our kids this year and hopefully get our athletes back on the field. So with that, I introduce Gabby.
Great. And then Gabby, I'm going to call on you in just a few minutes to chat with our membership. So we have a couple more pieces of business to do, and then I'll call on you. So next up, we have a blue badge presentation to be made. So let's hand it off to Lauren.
Hi all, Lauren Gutierrez with Salem Health. I'm here with today. Selma Pierce is our newest blue badge recipient. She actually completed all of her blue badge tasks probably about a month ago, but we had dual meeting issues. So today is the day that I give her her imaginary blue badge. Everybody give her a big round of applause. And thank you, Selma, for joining and moving through those tasks.
Great. Well done, Selma. Well done. We have a couple announcements. I'm going to start off with Justin Tyler, and then I'll hand it off to Jane. So Justin.
President Sue, fellow Rotarians, Justin Tyler here on behalf of the Hands-On Committee. This is just a friendly reminder that tonight we have phase 2 of our Deep Woods Garden project. Apparently the city of Salem is bringing a lot of gravel this time, so it's kind of one of these all hands on deck. So if you know somebody or have a family member that would like to be engaged in a volunteer project, our volunteer project will occur between 5 and 6:30 tonight. And like before, please bring a mask, gloves, and your own water. And the city of Salem will provide everything else. So if you have any questions, reach out to myself or Adam Kohler, and we'll get you squared away. Thanks for your support.
Thanks, Justin. Appreciate that. It was fun. Fun spreading gravel. Last week it was fun because it was such a great group and so wonderful to see everybody out there. So see you tonight. And then Shane, you had an announcement to make too.
Did you say Chain or Jane?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jane.
Okay.
Meant Jane.
Okay, this is Jane Downing. I'm making an announcement that our club's literacy committee is opening our annual literacy grant opportunities. And we hope you'll share the application, which is going to be on the next e-blast with nonprofits or schools that may be interested in requesting funds for literacy related projects in Marion and Polk counties. And we know that literacy instruction and projects are different due to virtual learning, but we would love to support innovation and efforts to promote literacy and reading skills for students. So please look for that application and share it far and wide. Thank you.
There you go. Thanks, Jane. I have to say real quick, the club, our Boys and Girls Club, received a literacy grant in the last round, and we had originally planned to purchase books because a lot of our kids don't have books at home. But with the digital learning, we shifted to the blue lens glasses for each of our kids that are in our clubhouses, and they're over the moon about those. So, and really helping them just with the stress of being on the screen all day. So important work. Appreciate the work of the literacy committee. So Rick is doing double duty. So now he's going to share our bell ringers. And thanks for doing that, Rick.
You're welcome, but I actually just lost you guys.
We still got you.
Well, that's even scarier.
Do you want me to introduce Gabby and let Gabby make her presentation?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. So Gabby, throwing you a curveball here. If you would join us and share with us your plans and what's going on right now in school. So off to you, Gabby.
Malo soy Fua. My name is Gabrielle Taimani Maidalangi Tata Rodriguez. I go to North Salem High School, and to basically like where I got to today is basically from being dedicated to being successful and wanting to achieve all my goals. And it really wouldn't have happened without the support system from my family, especially being an only child. I kind of get all the attention and stuff. But I want to also thank my mom and dad and my grandparents for always being there for me. And yeah, I really wouldn't have been able to do it without them. And school right now is going okay. I'm not a fan of distance learning because I'm more of an in-person, more visual and hands-on kind of person. But you know, we're all going to have adversities in our lives, and it's just up to us whether or not we take the right path to overcome those obstacles and just become successful in life. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Do you have plans for post-graduation, or are you working on that right now?
I'm still working on that. I have a couple colleges in mind that I would like to attend to, but still doing some research and still finding out more of what I need to go where I want to.
Right, right. And then what do I know you don't know what sports look like right now, but what are you looking forward to most when you get back into whatever sport you're able to as the seasons move forward?
I think definitely just being around my teammates again, and just bonding with them, and also the competition side of it. I love to compete. I love, as my mom and my grandparents say, I love the attention. So I like to have the spotlight on me and be able to compete and show people what I'm capable of.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for joining us, and we will be sending you a certificate as our Student of the Month from representing North Salem High School, and a Rotary Challenge coin. So we look forward to continuing to hear from Brody and other leaders at the school about your good work and your leadership and the positive path that you're moving towards as you graduate and move on through life. So thanks so much for joining us, Gabby.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, our pleasure. So I'm going to give it back to Rick with bell ringers.
Thank you. I did find out I was looking for you on Teams and I forgot we were on Zoom. That was my problem. So we have our bell ringers today. We have 3 bell ringers, and then Warren, I did not get yours, so you're gonna have to come in afterwards. Our first bell ringer, Pam Wasson, is ringing the bell for today's speaker, Jill Pelavin. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Jill. Because Jill Pelavin attends Tufts, the same university as Pam's daughter. Go Jumbo the Elephant. And by the way, Jumbo the Elephant is the mascot for Tufts. Selma Pierce is ringing the bell for all the people who have been holding together things and plowing ahead during this COVID pandemic. For their families, for their neighbors, for their friends, for our local businesses, for our schools, and doing their best to keep our communities intact. Thank you for your resiliency and perseverance. Please ring the bell. Sue Bloom and Robin Kerner are ringing the bell for the Boys and Girls Club. They are excited to invite you to participate in their virtual fundraiser, Cases for a Cause, that runs now through Sunday, October 25th. This online sale of local beers and wine is in lieu of the annual Cinco de Micro Brewfest and builds on the community support surrounding the Brewfest, including the many sponsors who generously continued their support this year. You can find selection of Gilgamesh Brewing, Chicha Brewing, Barnum Vintners, and Willamette Valley Vineyards. Visit the Boys and Girls Club website, look for Cases for a Cause for more information. Sales run from now through Sunday, October 25th. Ring the bell. And that's all I have ready. I think Warren told me he had one.
Yes. If we're able to, thank you, President Sue and Rick. I did send this to you, but I don't know where it got to.
Neither do I.
But Warren and I would like to ring the bell for the Santiam Canyon Wildfire Relief Fund. And we have reached out to our former fellow Rotarian, Mike Ferris, who lives in Mill City. And his house was not affected, but he was aware of other groups that are needing help up there. And so we would like to kind of make this as a opportunity for service for Rotarians as well. I've reached out to Melissa Bauer, who coordinates with Santiam Integration Team and helps coordinate the needs for the people up in the canyon right now. And we received a list of what is needed. And we're willing to gather things if people are able to go out and purchase and donate. And this Saturday, we could gather items at our office at 565 Union Street. You could contact us. We'll be there between 1 and 3 and load up our truck and then take them up to the people who need them. I think I'm going to try to put the list of items in the chat. And maybe we'll try to send an email out as well. You could also go to the link, which I'll put in the chat, of Santiam Canyon Wildfire Relief Fund.org, and they have a whole list of things that people can sign up to donate. But Warren and I are willing to gather haul our truck up, whatever is needed to take some items up to those who are trying to get rehoused in the wildfire. So we'll try to put this stuff in the chat and ring the bell for Santiam wildfire victims.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rick,
Barbie Dressler has a bell ringer.
Unmute. Hi there, Barbie Dressler, and I'd like to ring the bell for the Salem Kaiser School District, who hired me last week to work. I am working with the EDGE program, which is the online program that they are doing. I've only been there, this is my 5th day, so I have lots to learn, but it's nice to be working again and not have my brain feel quite so mushy.
Congratulations, Barbie. That's great. They're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
And Warren and Linda, if you'd also put your office address in the chat box with that link, in case folks didn't have a chance to write that down. So it looks, Rick, it looks like
we'll have it in there. I'll also have the list of what they need. I was wondering, Rick Calpo, one of the things they're asking for is flour. And I know $1 towards purchasing a bag of flour is one thing, but I don't know if we had an in on small bags of flour that we can get up there as well.
There's lots of different ways you can support the wildfire, including supporting the food share. We're working up there as well. We're going to move on. This is bell ringers, not announcements.
yes, yes. Okay, great. Thank you. So are we wrapped up, Rick?
We're wrapped up.
Great. And again, thank you for doing double duty with us today. Appreciate it very much. So with that, we will I'd like to hand it off to Jessica Ickes to introduce her guests and our program for today. And we'll have lots of time for questions, everyone. So be thinking as the presentation goes on, what kind of things you'd like to ask get more information on. So Jessica.
Thank you, President Sue, fellow Rotarians. It is my pleasure to introduce Jill Pelavin. And no worries on the mispronunciation of last names. In our family, we get it, and I can say our family. So there is a Rotary connection here. Jill Pelavin is currently the HR business partner for aftermarket at Daimler Trucks North America, located in Portland, Oregon. Jill has been with Daimler Trucks North America since 2004 in several different positions, including management development specialist, marketing support manager, employee relations manager, and most recently as benefits operations manager. Prior to her experience at Daimler Trucks, Jill worked in various industries, including manufacturing, hospitality, and public service industry. Jill holds a bachelor's degree in American Studies from Tufts University, where she met my brother, Aaron Ickes, and has a master's degree in business administration from the University of Arizona. Jill is the mother of Hannah, and Hannah is an 8th grader at Beaumont Middle School. She is also the mother of Noah, who is a 5th grader at Alameda Elementary School. And somewhere running around is my son, her nephew, Corin, who is a 7th grader at Blanchette. So without further ado, Jill.
Thank you. Thanks, Jesse, and I'm excited to be here. I am going to share my screen really quickly. So let's see here. Can everyone see that? Okay, great. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I know Jesse just gave you a little bit of background about me, but I just wanted to say a little bit more and why I'm here to talk about HR and benefits and the impact of COVID-19 on HR. So I have been with Daimler Trucks North America, which many of you might know as Freightliner. It seems like a lot of people don't know Daimler Trucks North America, but they hear Freightliner and they seem to know that. So that is one of our truck brands. And I have been with the company, I'm happy to say, 16 years and still counting. And I've been in several roles. Most recently, I was the benefits manager. I just took on a new position as an HR business partner, and that was, I've only been in the role about a month. So I am going to talk today about benefits because it's really my where I'm most familiar, and I think there's a lot to say about it because it obviously had a lot of impacts due to COVID-19. So I'm going to start with just something kind of fun, which is I found this cartoon, and I think so many people in the workplace are impacted by COVID. And so this is just one of the ways that people are impacted, that they have to work from home. And while the dogs love it, not all the people love it. So I just thought this was a cute cartoon. So I wanted to show that. So what I want to talk about a little bit today is how to balance both the company and the employee and have them both in mind with COVID. So what I mean by that is, you know, COVID-19 came and still here, obviously, and it changed a lot. And there's an impact on companies because obviously we have to think about the bottom line and profitability, but there's also a lot to think of in terms of the employee and what's the work environment like, even though the work environment is going to be at home. So one of the things that I had to look at in my role as benefits manager is I had to think about, because of all the concern with economic downturn, I had to think a lot about, okay, well, is there anything we should change about our benefits package? And if we did change something, what would that look like? And how are we gonna even figure out what we should do? So what we did is we had what's called a work stream, and we had several people from HR on that work stream. And I was the lead on the work stream, and we looked at all our benefits that we currently have, and we have several benefits at Daimler Trucks North America, a wide variety of benefits. So for example, we have healthcare benefits, we have a wellness program, we have on-site daycare, we have a car program, because it is part of Mercedes, so that's a big part of our benefit. We have a 401k program. So there's several programs that we had to look at. And we were trying, the bottom line is that we were trying to look at, is there anything we should be doing that's going to help us in terms of profitability and keep our business going well if there's a huge economic downturn, and if we make any changes, how would that impact employees? So to do that, we looked at, you know, again, all of the benefits that we had, and then we looked at what would that do if we change our benefits? What would that do in terms of the recruitment of employees, the retention of employees, and how would it impact morale? Because we didn't want to make too many changes and not think about our employees, because obviously that's what's most important in our business. So one of the things that we also had to look at is how long would it take to implement? So if we made, for example, a healthcare change to our benefit plan, how long would that take? If we made a change in April, could we implement that change for this year, or do we have to wait till next year? And if we wait till next year, does it even help us? So those are things we had to consider. We also had to consider approvals, because many of the things that we do at Daimler Trucks North America have to have quite a few approvals, including approval from Germany, because we are, you know, we're part of Daimler AG, which is based in Stuttgart, Germany. And then we had to evaluate if we did any changes, would they succeed? I mean, let's say we, for example, we changed our on-site daycare program, and let's say we said, you know, it's too risky to have on-site daycare with COVID. Let's put a hold on the program. What would that do to the program? Would we be able to reinstate the daycare at a later time? So those were all things we had to consider. So you can probably imagine there was a lot of stress during that time for everybody, and definitely a lot to think about. And it was hard because we had to make decisions fairly quickly, because if we waited too long, we might, and if we needed to change some things about our benefits. One, we needed to communicate that pretty quickly to employees, and two, we needed to figure out how it was going to impact us from a financial perspective. So the other thing, as I mentioned before, is we really wanted to think about our employees during this. So the other thing that was big on the minds of our HR team was, how do we help our employees? So it's very stressful to be working from home, especially when you have kids at home, or if you're taking care of someone who might be older, like an elderly parent. And just everything about working has pretty much changed for so many people. So we have several resources, and I just wanted to talk about what they are for our employees, because we have been really trying to make sure that our employees have resources they need to cope with the stress that they have. So one of the things we have is a program called Mequilibrium, and it's basically a resilience program, and it's part of our wellness program. So we have a wellness program that people can access through either online or on their smartphone. And that wellness program has different ways to get points. And when you get points, you can either get, a variety of different things like gift cards or enter sweepstakes. And so as part of that wellness program, we have this MEQ resiliency program. And that was something we actually started in January of this year, obviously not knowing that what was coming. So that's one way that people can get some coping mechanisms to deal with COVID-19. The other thing that we have that's pretty common now amongst a lot of companies is telemedicine. So we have a specific program. It's called Doctors on Demand, and employees can call a number and they can basically Skype with a doctor on their phone or from their computer, and they don't need an appointment. So it's basically an online walk-in clinic. And they also have, through that program, they have mental health providers, they have psychiatrists and psychologists. So that was another way that we tried to communicate to our employees. The other thing we offer, and this is also very common for most employers, is an employee assistance program. So that's basically a free program for employees if they have something they want to talk about, whether it be about workplace issues or maybe something they're struggling with at home. They can call the employee assistance program. And then the other thing that we wanted to make sure we mentioned to all of our employees was just the resources that health insurance plans cover, because many of them, like us, were thinking about, okay, what are we going to do in this crisis? What are we going to do that's different? What are we going to do to help people? So the insurance companies typically are waiving costs of in-network visits if there's a telehealth visit, which they used to not cover, now they do cover. And then many of the healthcare insurance companies do offer free tools to help with coping with stress. So I didn't actually put more in my presentation because I felt like this was probably enough to think about today. But I did want to make sure that I addressed any questions you might have. And again, I just wanted to, tell everybody here that it definitely is big on the minds of those of us who work in HR. How do we help our employees, but also take care of the company we're working for? And it is a fine balance. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions you might have.
Thank you, Jill. We'll give folks a moment to start to percolate, and you can generate questions. You can pop them in the chat or raise your hand, and Jessica and I'll just scan the raised hands in the chat room. So I was curious, as a starter, are all of your, so Jill, just for background, I work for Boys and Girls Clubs. I have a small amount of staff that have the flexibility to work from home, our administrative type folks. The balance of my team, they're essential workers. They have to be here to serve the kids. So how did your organization think through that organizational equity and for the folks that have to be there, and how they feel about the fact that others don't have to be at work?
Yeah, that's a great question, because Daimler is a pretty big company. So I didn't mention this, but we do have about 15,000 employees across the US and Mexico and Canada. So we have blue collar employees and we have white collar employees. There's some white collar employees that have to be in the office for their job. So for example, those in facilities had to be in the office because they were trying to reconfigure the office. So they were putting signs on the floors and marking which way to go in the hallways, things like that, and they had to be in the office. And obviously a lot of the blue collar, we did actually shut down some of the plants for about a week or so at a time, and it was different times for different locations that we have. But we really need the people working in the plants, because that's our business, is making trucks. So definitely there was friction between white collar and blue collar employees, and friction between those in the office, that some had to go to work and some didn't. So I think what we did is we basically made sure, one is our priority is safety. So obviously we weren't going to have anyone go to work if it wasn't safe. So when we closed, for example, the plants, we had committees in place. So someone from our safety, we have like basically safety managers. We had our executive team. We had a lot of people involved in how are we going to make sure that we configure space in our plants so that people are safe. So they, while we were closed, they worked day and night figuring out, okay, how are we going to have stations in the plant that are 6 feet apart? How are we going to be clear about which way to go in the hallways or in the plant? As you're going to your workstation, how are we going to give out masks? How are we going to take temperatures for all these people? So there was so much work being done while we were closed behind the scenes. And so I think the best way to answer the question better is the best way that we helped our employees was try to feel safe. And we started with the blue collar had to go back first. So that's what we concentrated on first, was the plants. And then we started, we prioritized the plants, and then we really looked at the office space and how could we make the office space safe. And we did quite a bit of reconfiguration there. And we did we have several occupational health providers on location at our different plants. So we work with them to take temperatures, and we were taking temperatures in the parking lot, and now we still take temperatures daily. And there is a scanner. We have a scanner actually in the corporate office also. So you go in, and instead of a person manning the temperature taking station, there's just a scanner. You go, you scan your forehead, and then if you don't have a temperature, you get a sticker. If you do, you are sent home. So far, no one I know has been sent home. And obviously we have told people not to come to work if they don't feel good or if they've been exposed to COVID-19.
Great, thank you. It's extensive. Selma had a question. I'm wondering what the morale is among your employees right now, and maybe how you gauge that.
Yeah, so that's a great question. The morale is definitely, I think that's a tough question to answer, because we're in the middle right now of doing some pulse checks, and those pulse checks are to do with the morale of employees, and they do them kind of more by department and by location, because our company is so big. We haven't had one big survey or one big anything yet to really gauge that. I can say though that when I see turnover numbers, they're definitely not high. So people aren't leaving right now because they don't want to work. That's not at all what's happening. We are not hiring externally right now, so it's hard to say how many people would be applying for jobs if we had them open. And I'm talking about white collar positions. I'm not talking about blue collar. I think blue collar, I can't really speak to because I just don't know the recruiting scene for blue collar employees right now. But I do think that people aren't leaving, which I think if they were really upset, HR would usually hear about it because we always hear the complaints. And I can say I haven't had a lot of negative complaining. I think people are pretty glad that I think they really know that we take safety very seriously, and we do have, our CEO sends notes every single day about the business and just wear your mask, things like that. And I think employees appreciate that the CEO is writing every single day. And then our executive team meets really regularly to have a pandemic, what they call a pandemic call. And they have that almost every day as well.
Great, thank you. Anna Peterson, did you have a question? I've got a few more for you, Jill, but
okay.
I wasn't sure about Anna and if she had a question.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Well, I typed my question in a different part, but I can read my question. I have a two-part question. Are any businesses providing financial supplement to employees who are working from home? Because many employees have had to convert parts of their family space into their workspace.
Mm-hmm. So at Daimler Trucks, we have not done that. I know my husband works at Hewlett Packard, and they have given a subsidy. It's not a huge amount, but a subsidy, and you could use that subsidy to buy either a desk chair or some type of office equipment for your home, because a lot of people just don't have all the things they need. So, and for us, by the way, I should have mentioned it, Daimler Trucks North America, in our Portland office, because we're still in phase 1 in Portland, in terms of, what the governor's mandates are, if we can work from home, we should work from home, but it is possible to go into the office. I've been in the office a few times. I can work from home, it's fine. So I don't go in the office often, but when I do go in, I feel very, very safe. You have to wear a mask. They take your temperature, as I mentioned. There's not too many people in the office, so it feels kind of like a ghost town. So I don't feel like, I just know that there's so many protocols in place that it's not going to be a problem.
But to the question of reimbursing people for their own expenses at home, are people in the HR business talking about that?
We haven't, there has been no discussion about that within our company right now that I know of. And I think it just varies probably by what industry you're in. Manufacturing, I think most likely it's not being discussed as much because our business really is manufacturing. So
sure, well,
we have a lot of office employees.
And then I have another part to my question also. Have businesses included the home in areas included in accident insurance, so that if a person is working from home and has an accident while they're working at home, does the company's workers' comp cover that accident?
That is a great question. I can't say for sure I know the answer to that question. I believe workers' comp would cover that cost if you're truly working from home. Not positive.
I think information about that would be really helpful to your employees and anyone's employees, just so that if it happens, then everybody clearly understands what is available and what isn't available.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not just working at home as opposed to working at the office, because the location has changed, but should all of the benefits carry over to the home?
Yeah, and we had a look at that for sure, to make sure our benefits made sense anymore because things change so much. So
Yeah, thank you.
yeah.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anna. That was a very good question. Jane Downing, you had a question for Jill.
Sorry. My question was just about, you had talked about the Me Equilibrium program, and I just was interested in more of that. We do a lot of work around resiliency. And so I hadn't heard of it, so I was very curious.
Yeah. So I can, after the call, get you the contact information, but basically it's a company that it's based, I think, out of Canada, and they have certain things. So you can sign up for either a 1 minute, a 5 minute, or I think it's a 3 minute meditation. It's called the Cup of Calm. And so you can log in and basically it'll walk you through a little exercise to do, mindfulness type of exercise. And so it's really up to the employee. We don't have, unfortunately, we haven't had a huge engagement with this. So I can't say it's been a huge success, but it's also only been a few months since we've had it. So I can't say for sure.
All right, great, thank you. Ken Van Osdale, you had a question. And I can ask it for him. So Jill, question from Ken is, what are some of the innovations to plan design that have been offered by the health insurance plan in response to the pandemic?
Okay, so that's a great question. The plan design has not changed for any of our plans. None of them have changed with the exception of telemedicine. For many of the telemedicine visits are covered, whereas before they weren't covered. So that's the only thing that's really changed. We haven't changed around co-pays. We haven't changed our deductibles, anything like that.
Great, thank you for that. Larry Gray, you have 2 questions for Jill.
Same question. I hope it wasn't already asked. What's been the impact of COVID on production, both production and sales for your Portland operation?
So it's varied. At the beginning of the pandemic, I'd say it was pretty stressful. Like most companies, business went down. We're very successful right now as in the aftermarket business, which is where I'm the business partner. So it's been really good lately. And I think one of the things that is very interesting is that Daimler Trucks North America is considered essential business. And the reason is because without trucks, we can't make deliveries. People couldn't, get a lot of the things they need delivered. So we are considered essential business. So I do think I hate to say lucky, but I think that for our business, we're a little bit maybe less impacted, I should say, because we are essential.
Great, thank you, Jill. I'm going to move to the folks that have their hand raised. So first off, John McCulley.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Jill, for being with us. My question deals, since you're an international company, what are you hearing from your colleagues in different countries around the world on how they're dealing with some of the issues that you're facing here in Oregon?
Unfortunately, I don't talk very much with international colleagues because of the responsibilities that I had as a benefits manager was truly for the US and not so much Mexico, even though we have a lot of employees in Mexico. So I did look, sometimes I'd look at just our, basically our company intranet, just to see what was going on. And I would ask people, especially in Germany, what's it like there? Because I was trying to, at the very beginning of the pandemic, I was like, maybe we can learn from another country. Maybe we can just do what they do and we'll solve this. I was just looking for some type of answer, I think. So I think, I can't speak to what they're doing in terms of benefits. I just think that once in a while, I see a post of just an employee wearing a mask, and that's all I know. So it's hard to answer that question.
Thanks. Next question is from Tim Nissen.
Jill, thanks. Really interesting program. And I know that you said that you're not hiring at the moment, but I'm wondering what kind of advice you would have for new hires. Someone like our fellow Rotarian Barbie Dressler, who started a new job. My daughter just started a new job. How do you go about the orientation process, the building relationships, all of the things that you naturally want to do to get off to a good start and to get off probation and secure permanent employment status and all of those kinds of things? I'm interested in what your advice would be.
Yeah. That's something I haven't thought too much about, I'll be honest. But I can say just changing jobs within a company is pretty stressful, and that's in the same company. And I had to change jobs, and my husband actually changed jobs during the pandemic. So both of us have done that within our own companies. And I'd say that if you're joining a new company, I think it's important to do Zoom meetings with one-on-one, of course, with managers and people that might be able to assist you. And then I think just know that you're not the only one struggling. Like, this is not, even though it's a new job and that is very stressful, the people who are working with you are stressed too. So you're not the only one stressed, and they know that.
Yeah, great, thank you. Good question, Tim. I'm going to go to Rick Galpo and then to Ken Van Osdale. So Rick, you have a question?
Presumably someday we will be post-COVID, and I was wondering if you thought the work from home is going to stay. Do you think there's going to be a more, how might COVID be transforming how we think about business and office and communications?
Yeah, so I think Daimler Trucks North America, I think, is one of the companies that's maybe a little less, I want to say, because the industry is manufacturing, it doesn't look quite like it would look in, let's say, high tech. So high tech, I think, is really going to change. I think they might say you can work anywhere, you don't need to come to the office. Whereas I think Daimler Trucks North America, I do think I think the pandemic will change how people work, but I don't know that they would say, okay, everyone, you can all work from home now. I think that there will just be more flexibility as a result of the pandemic.
Thank you. Ken Van Osdale, you had a question. Let me give him a chance. I jumped over the top of him last time, so let me take a look here. Oh, there you are. Great. Oh, can't hear you, Ken. Oh, you had trouble with this before. So Ken's question, Jill, is what impact has the pandemic had on the structure of your performance management system?
So we actually changed our performance management system last year, and we have more of a fluid type of system, if you will. So instead of the traditional, you get a review at the end of the year, it's not like that anymore. So basically you have an application that you use at work. You put in goals, you put them in on a quarterly basis. You can, you kind of steer who can give you feedback. So it's recommended that twice a year you ask for feedback, and you as the employee are in control of who you're asking. You have to get the feedback from your manager, but then you can also ask colleagues and other people you work with. So that hasn't really changed, but that's because it's been much more, the performance system is really quite different than it used to look anyway. So a lot of it is online, and a lot of it's, you know, I want to know something and I'm going to put in some goals, and my manager is going to look and see how am I working on my goals, and they do that through our online system.
Great, thank you. Renee Campbell, you have a question. There we go.
Couldn't get the mouse to work there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jill, for your presentation. My question has to do with established employees, kind of similar to Tim's question, but those people who are working from home, how do you keep those teams working together, keep those relationships fresh, and so you all feel like you're still working for the same team?
So a lot of managers have had daily, especially at the beginning, they started doing daily huddle meetings. And quite honestly, for me, I prefer not to have daily huddle meetings. I think it's too much. I just, I like the people I work with, but I just don't want to meet every day. So, but a lot of managers do have them every day as check-ins. And I think some people love it. Some people like me prefer not to meet every day. But I think it's a way for employees to kind of connect and still feel like they have their team with them. And I actually did see a couple of my colleagues in person at one point, and I felt like because I saw them so much on Zoom every day, it didn't feel like I hadn't seen them. So that was kind of nice.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, Jill, I think that wraps up our questions from our membership. So we really appreciate you making time to join us today. It was very informative, and appreciate the detail that you provided in you mentioned that you'll share out that me-quilibrium.
Yeah.
And you do that through chat or however you choose. So in your honor, we'll make a donation to our very own Salem Rotary Foundation. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. Selma, congratulations on your blue badge. Thank you for your patience with us getting that scheduled. So next week, Cindy Linesar will be our program chair. The topic is around nutrition first. And it sounds like a really great program again. And then just of note, next week is my Boys and Girls Club board meeting. So past President Bruce Anderson will preside over our meeting. So with that, everybody have a wonderful rest of your day. Hope to see some of you, many of you, around the gravel pile tonight at Lord and Shriver Gardens at Deepwood. And with that, enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Thank you all. Bye-bye.